Hi, I'm Baggy. I got on my bikini, and today I'm going to talk about a movie that's been on my mind. Today I want to talk about the film from 2018 called Annihilation. Annihilation came out around my birthday, the year I was pregnant with my daughter. Today is Mother's Day, so I wanted to do a review about something that I watched during my pregnancy. And it came out like around my birthday in February, so I got to go see it in theaters. And I love Natalie Portman. She is such a gem, and not only does she play beautiful characters, but she plays really strong characters. And Annihilation came out in 2018. It's based on a book by the same title, but there are three books in the series: Annihilation, Acceptance, and Authority. And I have not read them, but I hear they're very good, and one of these days I am going to get around to reading them. Um, I do wish they would make two more movies based on the two other books, but I don't know if that's ever going to happen. The books came out in 2014, and the movie came out in 2018, 4 years later. So I don't know if there's a movie for Authority in the work or Acceptance in the work, but I would really enjoy it if there was. The movie also has Jennifer Jason Leigh in it, who I think is a phenomenal actress as well. I loved her in The Hateful Eight, and not a lot of people know this, but her father was the actor that died in the Twilight Zone movie in the helicopter crash, along with two children that were being paid under the table to work, and they were murdered by a helicopter crash that took place on set as he was trying to recreate a scene from a flashback he had in Vietnam. Very sad. It really ruined John Landis's career, which was very sad because John Landis, I don't think, did anything inappropriate that other directors at that time weren't doing also. And I feel like he really accepts responsibility for what happened, and I think it's a shame that a lot of people are hard on him for that, because accidents do happen. And I know I heard when Planet Terror came out in the scene where all the zombies' heads get cut off by the helicopter, I guess John Landis was at that viewing, and like everybody looked at him, and he just like was so embarrassed. And I hate that for him. I love John Landis, but anyways, Annihilation is very, very good. It's almost like a very different take on a science fiction film. It starts with a woman named Lena, who is a doctor and a teacher at a college, doing a lecture for her students. We find out that at one point she did have an affair on her husband with a fellow worker named Daniel. We know that she had an affair on her husband Kane with Daniel, and Daniel at one point asks her out to eat because her husband has been missing for months, and she's like, no, I'm not going to go out with you, I'm going to go home. And she is painting her home, and while she is doing that, Kane returns home after being missing and unaccounted for months, and she greets him, but he's acting very differently, and he starts to like bleed and act like he's having some sort of cardiac arrest. So she goes to take him to the hospital, but is intercepted by the government officials who know where he's been, so this doesn't get out, and he is taken to a basically like serious government facility to be checked out and to be monitored, and they take her there also. It's interesting because the rest of the story is kind of set up like in a Titanic style, where it's like in Titanic, the older lady is like, oh, well, this is what happened. Well, with Lena, it's the same kind of thing. She's like, this is what happened to me. And after her husband is taken into their custody, she has military experience as well. So they assign her to go into the Shimmer, which is where her husband got lost in, as well as the rest of his crew. And I believe the Shimmer is taking place like in the lower United States, like in Florida or something. I believe there was like a chart that showed it was on like Florida mostly. I could be wrong about that. But so she joins a crew of three other women, Anya, Josie, and the third lady whose name's escaping me. The third lady whose name is escaping me, her daughter died, and she basically has nothing left to lose. Uh, Josie is a very introverted person and is very into science, also acts like she doesn't have anything to lose. And Anya used to be a drug addict, so she is doing this to like push herself and do something productive with her life that a lot of people wouldn't be interested in doing. So these women approach the Shimmer. They are all like loaded up with gear, weapons, everything, and they do not know that Anna is married to the man that came back. Like, they know about what happened, but they don't know that she's associated at all, and she kind of keeps that from everybody, which is funny because Jennifer Jason Leigh's character is like the leader, and she also keeps from the group that she has cancer. But as they go into the Shimmer, it mutates DNA, and in a way they're all kind of mutating from each other's DNA and feeding off of that. At one point, Lena has a tattoo on her arm, which is a snake eating itself, and she did not go into the Shimmer with that tattoo. That tattoo belonged to Anya, and now it's on her, because they are like morphing DNA in a way that they don't realize. And their first encounter is with a albino alligator. It's enormous. It has an extra row of teeth like a shark, so we can kind of tell at this point like the animals are mutating with other animals to become like major predators. And they do get away from the gator. They see a lot of beautiful like white deer with big antlers with flowers growing from the antlers. They see a lot of beautiful wildlife, but they also see some dangerous wildlife. And as they're continuing on, they find a building where they know the last group had set up, the last group that went in, that Kane led. And they find like beds set up and like a duty chart and stuff, and they know that this is where they were. They also find a video in a little plastic bag that said, "For whoever comes next," and they play it, and in it is Kane, Lena's husband, and he looks super deranged, and he's cutting open the belly of one of his comrades, and the man's organs are like moving like eels inside of his body, and they have it all on camera. And then they see the man's body against the wall, and his lower torso is separated from his upper torso with a bunch of like biological, almost mold and stuff growing, and it's like almost this huge sculpture. It's quite beautiful to look at, but it's frightening because it is a man preserved in terror of what was happening to his DNA. And Lena does not tell the group that that's her husband. She does not say anything about that. So they end up moving, they're trying to move on, and the woman who had lost her daughter gets attacked by a bear. And let me tell you, this bear is like a Wendigo of a bear, because not only is it scary and huge, but when it kills somebody, it can repeat the person's last thing that they yelled. And that's supposedly like how Wendigos work. If they kill somebody, they can imitate their last like phrases, like help or somebody's name. And the bear ends up attacking this woman, the one who had lost her daughter, and killing her. They don't see her. And Anya ends up finding Lena's locket with her husband in it. So she knows she's been lying to them. And she thinks Lena had killed the woman. And we basically get a scene where they have moved to this like house, where all like these people have turned into like flower statues. And we kind of get a John Carpenter's The Thing moment, because Anya ties up all the girls into like chairs and is basically like, what's going on? You're lying. I think you killed her. I don't think there was a bear. And then we hear the woman that was murdered scream for help, and Anya gets up and goes to see her, and it is the bear that has came into the home, that has tracked them down and is like making the noises that she made when she was being murdered. And we get a very large, scary bear with no fur on its face. It almost has like a skeletal face. But if you look on the side, there's like another eye here and like another skeleton, like a person skeleton too. So it, whatever it has killed and eaten, it has like absorbed that into its DNA. And Anya tries to shoot the bear. She does not succeed. And Josie ends up stopping the bear, saving everyone and untying them. And they kind of have a little heart-to-heart about, you know, we need to be honest with each other. We need to move on. We need to keep going. And Jennifer Jason Leigh's character had left before the bear incident because she was going on to the lighthouse because she has cancer and she doesn't want to wait around anymore. And so then it's Anya and Josie and Lena, and Josie's like, I'm not going, I'm staying here. And she basically like becomes a flower person. And Anya is not able to continue on with Lena, so Lena goes on by herself from the home and leaves behind Anya and Josie, and is basically going after Jennifer Jason Leigh's character to the lighthouse. And the lighthouse is where the comet originally hit, and that is the peak point of what is going on. And Lena gets there and she sees all these bones of humans like laid out on the beach, almost like a warning. And then she comes into the lighthouse and finds Jennifer Jason Leigh's character rambling on about how it's going to take over, complete annihilation. It's turning us into everything. It's, all this is happening. And then we see Jennifer Jason Leigh's character begin to like vomit up the shimmer and like mutate into a basically void of like light. And as Anya is looking into this, she the void takes drops of blood from Anna and then begins to form into like a humanoid that looks just like Lena. And Lena, took the blood from Lena. It's confusing names, but anyways, she has the blood taken from her and it goes into that void, and then it embodies Lena and becomes like a shiny, shimmery doppelganger. And as they interact more and more, it becomes more and more human. And I'm gonna keep doing that, aren't I? Lena saw on video her husband Kane basically recording himself with a grenade and telling somebody behind the camera, you need to go find Lena. And he is blown up, and then behind the camera we see it is Kane's doppelganger. So the man that came back to Lena was not the real Kane. It was part of Kane, but it was another entity altogether. And she basically figures out, Lena finds another grenade and puts it in the hands of the humanoid doppelganger that is being created of her, and it ends up blowing up the doppelganger, blows up the shimmer. Everything's taken care of, but now Lena has changed because she's been in there, and she's telling her story to the people who are quarantining her, the scientists and the medical team. And she's like, I don't think it was destroying anything, I think it was making something new. And then she is reunited with her husband Kane, and we see them hug each other, and we see shimmer in both of their eyes, and they played this song by Crosby, Stills and Nash, Helplessly Hoping, which is they're one person, they're two alone, they're three together, they're for each other, which kind of hints, that they will be having a baby together that will go on to carry on this biological effect of the shimmer. Because the shimmer doesn't need to exist anymore because it exists now in Lena and Kane. And I think that's a very almost like biblical reference, calling her husband Cain, because he did end up killing the original Cain, and that kind of to me is like Cain killing Adam and all that biblical stuff. And I think this movie was really great. It had beautiful visuals. It was very intelligent. It was a new story that I hadn't heard before. And it was a very, feminine film as well because, Lena is, just picking herself up by her bootstraps and going out there and trying to figure out what's going to happen before the entire world is affected like she has been. I would give this movie a 4 out of 5. I love the visuals. I love the music. I love the score for when the shimmer is present. I just think it was a very, very good film. I enjoyed watching it, and if you haven't seen it, I would highly recommend it. Natalie Portman is so good in almost everything, and I feel like this is kind of like Natalie Portman in this is almost like Sigourney Weaver in like Aliens, just a very strong female role, and I would recommend it to anybody. Happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there, and my name is Baggy, and I got on my bikini, and thank you for watching.